This edifice has been going up over the last 3 or 4 weeks, and you sit on the loo and you look out the window, there's a man on the roof outside. So you do have to watch yourself because he's up there scrambling about. It's all been planned with meticulous precision. I can see each piece of wood is numbered and all that stuff, so I'm very impressed with him.
That's not the highlight of your week, surely.
Welcome to Own It, Your Business and Your Life, with Nicola Cairncross and Judith Morgan. In this podcast, we're going to cover everything you need to embrace to become a successful entrepreneur, marketing, money, and much, much more. How to create a business doing just what you love. How to own it, your business and your life. This one will be fast, funny, feisty, and very lively. So sit back and enjoy the show. Welcome, Judith, and welcome. How are you today?
I'm good, Nicola. How are you? Sun shining always makes a difference, as you know.
It does, but I do have more evidence that autumn is coming soon. Because
no!
The little spiders,
I don't want more evidence of that.
Yeah, the little spiders have gone into overdrive. They're all over the webs.
Yes.
So what's happening in your week then, apart from...
Well, this week is all about the preparation for the summer party. Friday is my client's summer party. It's a very select affair this year. Last year, you'll remember, because you were there were 40 guests and a tent and a party planner and a caterer and a waitress.
Very upmarket last year, yeah.
This year it's open house. My clients only get one invitation, so in the life of their membership. So if they've already been, they can't come again. So although I've still got, I don't know, not as many as 40 clients, but let's say 25, only 5 of them are coming on Friday. So it's called open house. I'm doing it all by myself, just me and Waitrose. The gardener's been, the cleaner's coming, and I'm expecting a handful of drop-ins for lunch on Friday.
Oh, very nice. And you'll look forward to that. It's a lovely garden you've got there, isn't it?
Well, it's not too bad considering I'm in London, yes, although there does seem to be a large dollop of fox poo in the middle of the patio this morning.
You'll have to get a little baggie and go out and pick it up.
So if nature hasn't got rid of that by Friday morning, I definitely will have to do that. So tell me about your week and leave the fox poo out of it. The fox poo and the spiders.
You need a damper. My next door neighbours are planning a party this weekend. They're planning a party. They do it once every 10 years, and they've made the most spectacular wooden frame with plastic awning that can be pulled across at a moment's notice in case of inclement weather. Oh. And this what's it called? F begins with an E. This edifice has been going up over the last 3 or 4 weeks, and you sit on the loo and you look out the window, there's a man on the roof outside. So you do have to watch yourself because he's up there scrambling about. You know, it's all been planned with meticulous precision. I can see each piece of wood is numbered and all that stuff. So I'm very impressed with him.
That's not the highlight of your week, surely, is it?
No, it isn't. I'm trying to cheer myself up because I've had the most frustrating time with Infusionsoft Stripe and Stripefuse, which are not talking to each other as they should be. I think I mentioned last week, I'm swapped back to PayPal, which impressed the hell out of me until I remembered that a client could just say, I want a refund, and PayPal would give it to them straight out of my bank account, regardless of whether I've done the work or not. So PayPal is not, unfortunately, a long-term solution. So then I'm thinking, well, if I'm going to I could change to Nanocast, which is the payment gateway that I put my membership site through. I could pay someone to set up my clients' membership levels there in that. But the problem is, there's 2 problems with that. One is, A, it's going to cost me quite a bit to do it and get it set up because I can't do it myself. B, the order forms look very ugly, so I'd have to pay someone to make it look pretty as well. And the other thing is, if I'm going to move away from Infusionsoft as my payment gateway thing, I might as well move away from Infusionsoft, which means I could go to one of the $30 a month solutions that have sprung up in the last year. But the thought of all that work just makes me feel quite. I don't know what it makes me feel exasperated. That's what it is.
What are the $30 a month alternatives to Infusionsoft?
Well, there's been quite a few sprung up. There's 10-minute funnels, which looks really good. There's Click Funnels, which is Russell Brunson. That looks really good too. They're in the $30 to $60 a month thing instead of the £140 a month, which I'm paying for Infusionsoft. But I'm just exasperated, Judith. In this day and age, bloody software should work. It should just work. Software of the caliber of Stripe and Infusionsoft should work together. And they shouldn't work in a test and then not work when you go into bigger numbers. It shouldn't make any difference what the numbers are. It's just infuriating.
I agree.
That's my mini rant of the week.
Yes, okay, fine. And has something nice fueled your fire?
Well, I've started watching the Foundation videos, which is my guilty pleasure. But I highly recommend that everyone watches them, actually. If you just go to thefoundation.com and you have to just sort of put in your name and email in and choose a password because they've sort of protected there's a little series of launch videos which I really seriously believe anyone could benefit from watching. So I'm enjoying those, and it has fueled my fire to but then software, Jesus, I've just been ranting about software for 5 minutes.
Yes, don't start on that one again. Just go back to the Foundation, thefoundation.com, is it?
Yeah, thefoundation.com.
Okay.
And the two guys who run it are really quite amazing. They're both incredibly successful in software. They're both very emotionally intelligent, enlightened chaps, and their podcasts are well worth listening to, but their videos are well worth watching too. You can't believe from looking at them how well off they are. But,
do you remember their names? Even their first names would do, just like
Andy Drish is one of them. Andy and no, the other one's escaping me.
I'll find it. Don't worry. Just for the notes, I'll find it.
But no, they're very good. They're very emotionally intelligent chaps. They're very they on their podcasts and interviews and videos they talk about real stuff and real emotions about being an entrepreneur. So I highly recommend it.
Very, very good. So I'll tell you what's fueled my fire. Week 4 or 5, I lose touch with actually where I am on my holiday now, because as you know, we record these quite a long time in advance of them going out. And by the time people hear this on the 11th of September, I'll definitely be back at work. But I'm still on holiday today. And what's fueling my fire is the longer I'm on holiday, which I love and could do forever actually, but absence is making my heart grow fonder. And the holiday is doing what it should do, which is making me mildly enthusiastic for going back to work, and by the time I get to the 7th of September I'll be red hot keen.
Red hot keen. Yeah. You'll have your pencil case out, you'll be covering all your books in wallpaper, and you'll just
well, notionally I will, yes. If I needed stuff, exactly, emotionally I will be getting a new protractor, yes.
New protractor. It makes you feel quite wistful, doesn't it? All that excitement.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it does, yeah.
Do you feel isolated and alone in running your own home-based business? Do you have worries, doubts, fears and resistance which sometimes make you feel like giving up? Don't worry, you're not alone. In fact, you're perfectly normal. It can be scary all by yourself. But what if you could learn how to become a confident business owner, how to trust yourself more and grow your income, relax and be more creative and productive? Small Business Big Magic is a unique business mentoring group providing grounded practical support and advice, fast responses to your questions, inspiration and solutions to boost your clarity and help you find direction, focus and success in your life and business. Join Small Business Big Magic today for the friendship and encouragement of others just like you and the enthusiasm of a coach who gets you and your business. There's big magic for your small business at judithmorgan.com.
What's our client challenge of the week this week then?
Okay, well, we're revisiting something we've touched on before, and on which you and I have different opinions. And it's keep in touch marketing. So somebody said to me yesterday, I've put up my new opt-in and nobody's opted in, as if that was a foregone conclusion. And then I talked to somebody else, and the recurring theme of newsletters came up yesterday. Newsletters, ethical bribes, the number of opt-ins, the best way to build a list. Somebody's given you their email address. What next? How to get more people to do that. So I know your solution is going to be very different from mine, because yours will be very statistical and all about driving people to an opt-in page, blah, blah, blah. But if you've got an ordinary client who's got a website and they've got an opt-in box and they've followed advice and they've got a lead magnet or an ethical bribe, and not many people are opting in, how could we, A, encourage more opt-ins? That's your question. And B, what will we do until we have a massive list?
I talked to a very funny Irishman yesterday who lives in Australia, and he said to me, I've got this website and I've driven some Facebook traffic to it, and X number of people have opted in, and then nothing's happened after that. They don't want to go for a consultation. And I said, look, what you're trying to do is trying to get the Snog and the Shag on when you're walking up to them in the bar.
Oh, nice.
It's not going to happen. First of all, on his opt-in form, he wants their phone number. Now, I said, you're cutting your opt-ins down by by 3/4 by just putting that phone number box on there. Nobody's going to give you their phone number right off. You've got to woo them a bit. And so if you take that off, that'll improve your opt-ins to start with. And then we looked at what happened afterwards. And what happened afterwards was they after they opted, they jumped straight to a form where he expects them to give all sorts of personal information, and that then somebody's going to call them for a consultation, which means selling them something. And I said, this is just a nonsense. I don't understand why you think that anyone, if cold traffic from Facebook, is going to give you their phone number and then tell you all of their personal details so that someone can then ring them up and sell to them. I said, this is just rubbish. You've got to spread it out a lot more than that. And he said, you don't mince your words, do you? I said, no, I'm a straight-talking English person who doesn't mince their words. He was a very charming Irishman. I said, you've got to give them a chance to be charmed by you. And he was charming. And I said, you need to get some emails written that give them great information. Give them the opportunity to book in for a consultation. By all means, don't. That's the other side of it. Is I often find sometimes that I've taken away any sale in my attempts to build a relationship. Sometimes I haven't asked for the sale, or I haven't given them the opportunity to move forward to the next level. And so you've got to be very wary of that. But you've got to build a relationship. It's just never going to work. And we're so lucky, Judith, because we learned that back in 1998 or 1999 or something. And, we've done it. And so we do it so naturally now. We forget it's not in other people's natural way of doing things. But the first question I would ask anyone who says, I've put an opt-in box on my site and nobody's opting in, I'd say, well, are you getting any traffic?
Yeah.
Because that's the most obvious question to ask straight away. Is anyone?
I think something that's really interesting is what you just said there. You said, we're so lucky because we did it. You did it in the 90s. I did it in the noughties. And one of my questions here is, what's the 2015-16 style of doing that now? I agree about traffic, but what do you think about ethical bribes? Do you think people, do you think anybody's head is turned by a freebie they might get when opting in?
I think you can't expect people to opt in without a freebie. Why would they give you their name and email? Why would they do that unless they're going to get something of interest to them?
Well, interestingly, this is what came up yesterday when people were telling me about how anxious they were about sending emails. I'm going, I said, how many people have you got on your list? And frequently a newbie will tell me, 28 or 7 or something. And I go, look, somebody's given you their email address. They want you to communicate with them. They want to hear more.
I put my name and email in sites I'm interested in just because I haven't got time to stay and look around yet, and I want to be reminded of them.
Yeah.
And what's wrong?
I know. Don't be exasperated.
No, I'm not exasperated because I'll tell you why I stopped myself mid-exasperated gasp then. Because I actually got an email from someone this morning who said, I thought you didn't believe in spam. And what he was actually getting was tip 2 of my 7 tips that he'd actually opted in for.
I know.
So I wrote back to him, I said, I'm so sorry you regard it as spam. I'm just sending you the tips that you just opted in for. I said, don't worry, I'm going to unsubscribe you immediately. Because because I didn't want him doing it. And I just, the thing is, people, there is always going to be one who thinks that you're spamming them, or you send too many emails. I've been accused of that many times over the last 20 years. But there's going to be 5 or 10 who love hearing from you.
Yeah.
And it will.
So let's talk about newsletters, which is not the same as a follow-up sequence per se.
I haven't answered your question. Sorry. Can I just back?
Right.
You said what's
Yes.
the 2015 way of doing this?
Yes.
It's exactly the same as the 1999 way of doing it.
Okay, good.
It's to have a series of follow-up emails that deliver value and let people get to know you gradually. It's exactly the same. There's no change.
So it's a mating ritual. It's a courting dance.
And the other thing I would say, perhaps that's been added in, I did Andre Chaperon's Autoresponder Madness course, which is absolutely brilliant and well worth the investment. He talks about cliffhangers. So if you're going to tell a story that it will endear you to the client, the potential future client, then do feel free to break it up into 4 or 5 installments and end each email on a cliffhanger saying and what happened next. It's called the soap opera sequence. It just means that people are waiting to get your next email with excited glee because they'll get the next installment of the story.
Very good. So keep in touch marketing, do you remember? So people have given us their email address, so we'll keep in touch with them on a regular basis now and again, and not just broadcasting and selling, but giving of value. What do you think about length of newsletters, and what do you think about regularity of them? Do you think the length matters? Do you think a regularity is important?
Yeah, I know you don't have a series of autoresponder follow-ups, and I do. They go out on Mondays, Wednesdays and Fridays, or Tuesdays and Thursdays, I can't remember exactly, but they go out on specific days, mine. So if I then want to send an email in between, I can send it on a day when they're not going to get an automated follow-up email. So that's important. I would definitely say
that's a system which is very nice. And most people wouldn't go for that. Most of my clients wouldn't say, oh God, that means they're hearing from me more than one day a week.
Well, I think in the first 2 weeks, they've got to hear from you at least 2 or 3 times a week. Otherwise, they'll very quickly forget who you are.
Who you are, yeah.
You need to be in touch at least 3 times a week for the first 2 weeks, then perhaps scale it back to twice a week for the next 2 or 3 weeks. And then, but I believe that James Franco's got a great expression. The people who make the most money are the ones sending the emails, not the people reading them.
Yeah.
So if you want to make money, you've got to send emails. And actually, that's one of the KPIs he tracks in his business. How many emails did we send this week?
Ah, that's interesting.
And so really, you've got to get over yourself on the sending emails. I think as long as you're sending, but a mutual friend of ours hasn't mailed his list for a while, and he's thinking he needs to warm them up again before he reminds them of his services. And so he's going to send out a sequence of simple, shortish, useful emails linking to articles online that he thinks they would be interested in reading.
I think that's a good idea. Jab, jab, jab. Remember before you right hook.
Yeah, that's very good.
I often sit there and think, what do they need to hear from me this week? I try to be of service. I don't always want to sell, but I mostly never forget to remind them that they can buy something if they want.
You do it very, very well.
That's kind. And one lady was saying to me yesterday she was confused about what should be in there, and yet when we went through it, she had quite a lot of news, and she said, I could tell them this, and I could tell them this, and I could tell them this. And I went, yes, hang on, we don't need to put all of that into one newsletter.
Yeah,
because actually you can give them. Somebody was saying that they in their community. Somebody had shared a meme and somebody said, oh, thank you, I'm going to make that my newsletter this week. I said I would put 3 fabulous sentences around that, but that's enough. Yes, keep in touch should be little and often. I mean, length for me isn't always better. It's quite off-putting if it's a long one you've got to read your way through, unless it's luxurious. You think, oh, yummy, I'll save that one and read it later with a cup of tea.
Oh, I do that with your newsletters. So when
you're very kind. But I mean, and actually, of late, I've been inspired, and I've had some really, really nice feedback from people who have gladdened my heart. Professional writers, which is good. But I don't, you and I have got lots of practice of this. Nicola, I'll just explain to the listeners, for people who didn't know you a decade ago. Nicola ran for a very long time a regular weekly newsletter called The Diary of a Seaside Landlady. Was that what it was called, Nicola?
It was called that as soon as I bought the hotel, yeah.
And I remember you telling us the other day that one of the tactics that you used in your newsletter was to ask people to forward it to other people who they thought might enjoy it. That's a way of building a list, isn't it?
It is, as long as you've got as long as there's a link at the bottom of your newsletter that enables people to subscribe.
Yes.
We used to use GoToWebinar, one shopping cart, and that did have a link at the bottom that said, have you been sent this by a friend? Click here to subscribe.
Yes.
How I find my list so quickly.
So actually, you can instruct them. You can say, if you've enjoyed this, please forward to a friend and ask them to subscribe in their own right, or encourage them to subscribe.
Yeah, actually, now I think about it, I need to add that into mine because I could do that. Infusionsoft does have a direct subscribe link I could add into my e-zine. You see, you forget things. You totally forget basics.
You do forget things, yes. And the other thing that I think, so when they're saying to me, my clients, well, I've only got 7, readers or 47 readers or whatever it is, I said, look, where you put energy, other good stuff will follow. So, nobody's going to join your dormant list if you're never sending anybody a newsletter.
I started with 25.
If you decide you're going to send it once a week or once a fortnight or once a month, and you stick to that come hell or high water, and you put energy there and you ask people to share it, it'll grow.
I know. And I did start with about 25 people, and there were people whose business cards I'd been given, so that was very, very naughty, and my family and friends, of course. But it did quickly grow to 8,000 subscribers within 2 years. It was much easier in the olden days. There wasn't so much competition on the internet. I got a lot of traffic, and it all opted in. Because in the early days, the only thing it could do was opt in, because there wasn't anything to buy on the website at all.
Yeah.
So, but you've really got to get over this fear of people not wanting to hear from you, because they wouldn't have given you their name and email. I mean, apart from that chap this morning, obviously, who God knows why he put his name and email in. But as long as you've got an unsubscribe mechanism, you're fine. As long as your people can unsubscribe easily, you're fine.
Yes. So what are we saying, really? Get over yourself.
We're saying get over yourself. We're saying they want to hear from you. Think of me when you're feeling uncomfortable. Think of me. But I put my name and email in your website because I want to be reminded of you, because I didn't have time to look around when I was there, and I wanted to be reminded of you. So that's all you're doing. You're delivering a bit of value. That's the thing. Tell a story, deliver a bit of value, and remind them what you can do for them.
Yeah.
And
actually, funny enough, quite a lot of people don't open one's newsletters, but they do know it's arrived. So sometimes they don't even need to open it. They just see it in their inbox to go, oh, I haven't got time to read that now, but I see that Judith is still sending me a newsletter. And one day, when I'm ready and I've got time and I need her, I'm still getting that weekly prompt, even if they don't read it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, apparently only 10% of the people who get my stuff read it. But it's not the same 10% every week. That's what you remember.
No, I know that. Yeah.
Even if they only read 1 in 5. What was it Chris Barrow used to say about this? He used to say, you need to send something out, and just to remind them that you're there, because one morning they're going to wake up and decide they need you. And if they can't find your website or your contact details easily, the moment will pass. Whenever I go to the door, because the postman arrives, I'm surprised he hasn't been today, actually. Judith sits here and goes, hello, where are you, Judith? And I edit it out, you see, because I'm kind to her. But I'm not going to edit this one out. This is going to be the funny bit at the beginning. Because, of course, I can't guarantee that it'll be funny again during this podcast. We might not be. That's the other challenge of this podcast, is finding a funny bit each week. I'm thinking of putting together a compendium of all our funny bits.
But I tell you, I was having a party. That's the first of the supplies for Friday.
I've been sitting here doing what you do when I go to the door, which is going, hello.
Now, I've lost my thread. So here we go. Back to where we were. Somebody's given you their email address. What next? Keep in touch is the answer.
Keep in touch. Deliver value. Tell a story. Be vulnerable. I think that's really important as well, because you don't want to send out emails every week saying how brilliant you are. Tell stories about how you were where they are on their journey a little while ago, and that's really good for positioning you as a little bit further down the road, but not too much so that you're intimidating.
Take it lightly, find your voice. Know that with each one you send out, you'll get better at it. Have an intention that in sending one out, you will draw subscribers to you.
invite replies, invite feedback. Just say, hit
Oh, yes.
reply.
Ask a question. That's right. Yes. Invite interaction. Share it on social media. MailChimp, I'm on it. It allows you to share on Facebook and Twitter and anything else you want to share it on.
Oh, that's interesting. I don't do that. But
And interestingly, I tell you what it does as well. It shows me in the back end of MailChimp who's read it in their inbox and who's read it on social media.
oh, that's very, very nice indeed.
And it gets me another 50% of opens, I would say.
Blimey heck. So how do you? Because the reason I don't do that is just because it has dear first name in it when it goes out on Twitter and Facebook.
Mine doesn't. Mine says beloved. I don't use dear first name. It drives me mental.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
Yeah. I say either beloved or hi you or something like that, because one person getting dear first name just isn't worth all of the people who get it with their names, I don't think.
Yeah.
But I know that people's names, I think it's cheesy. I think we're past that. You know, how are you today, Judith? It just drives me mental.
Yeah, I don't like if it's sprinkled right through the email, but I do believe in salutation.
It does work. I know it does work. Yeah.
Oh, I like your beloved there. That's rather nice, isn't it?
Do you think people, so if we're talking about newsletters as distinct from broadcasts, this is something I'd like people to understand the distinction of as well, which is I send a newsletter every Friday, but I can broadcast to my list whenever I like. And the distinction for me is Friday is the sort of newsletter, the keep in touch, the give before I jab. And a broadcast might be a jab. So yesterday, my client was telling me she's got these lovely things to sell. And I said, I think if you've jabbed them enough, that's worth a broadcast in its own right.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, because people want to know about things. They want to be given a delicious opportunity to purchase gorgeousness.
And actually, that's exactly what this was, a delicious opportunity to purchase.
Some gorgeousness.
And, it was very, very affordable and gorgeous.
Well, why wouldn't you want to let people know about that? I mean, you've just got, there's so many things in business that you've just got to get over yourself about, isn't there?
I think that's a very good question. Why wouldn't you want to let people know about that? What's the answer? I don't know. You and I don't know. What are people frightened of?
Yeah, I mean, I think you've got to make that mental shift. And I'll never forget that the moment I made that mental shift, and I was standing in the conservatory at St Michael's Road in about 1998, 99. And I just read Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. And he said, if you can find the greatest number of people to serve. And that was the shift for me, was that you're not selling, you're serving, and you're doing your potential customers who've got a problem that you've got a solution to, even if it's just something to make their house look more beautiful. You're doing them a disservice by not letting them know about it.
I was going to say, do you keep your eye out for, when I talked about 2015-16 Spiley, do you keep your eye out for newsletters that come in and you think, oh, that's a nice way of communicating with me? Do you notice sort of modernnesses? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. Yes, I mean I'm on quite a few newsletters, and they all go into my promotion or updates tab on Gmail. But I do go through and skim them quite often. The ones, there's about 5 or 6 that make it into my primary inbox. Because I drag it over and say yes, I want it to go in there all the time. I'm always very interested in watching what other people do, and if someone does something I like, I'll adopt it immediately.
Yeah. And I know you're a person who readily puts your email address into other people's websites, whereas I'm exactly the opposite. What tempts you? You said it's so that they remind you about them all of the time, which is nice. Do you ever see an opt-in where you think, "Oh, I want that"? So I'm
all the time. Yeah.
Do you? Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I often consume the stuff that I've downloaded as well. I definitely, if it's an ebook, for example, I'll forward it onto my Kindle so I can sit away from the computer.
Yes, you're very diligent with digital info. I do the same thing with forwarding them onto my iPad. It doesn't necessarily mean I read them, but I do forward them on.
Yeah, well, also then perhaps I'll spend a Sunday morning with coffee in bed just flicking through them and seeing what's good. But you know what? You've got to keep up. You've just got to, and it's not overwhelming if everything you look at, you think, can this move my business forward? If it can, do something with it. If it can't, move on.
One of my criteria is my life worth more than this? So actually, if it's using up a bit of vital life energy in a way that's productive, positive, upbeat, encouraging, stimulating, whatever, I'm in. If I catch myself thinking, oh, yawn, I'm just reading this for completion's sake or watching this to the end because it's a habit, I stop it.
Yeah, good point. Like, for example, clicking any of those links on Facebook that you end up on any of the newspaper websites.
And then you end up 20 minutes later reading about the Kardashians again. And I don't even know who these people are.
Well, I like reading about the Kardashians, but I did end up reading about a Ferrari that because I've got a Shore and Buy C alert. I did end up reading about a Ferrari that was smashed into. It was actually just owned by someone in Shore, and the accident happened up north, and I really wasn't interested at all. And I thought, why am I wasting my life?
I know. But anyway, that's not the point of our newsletters. Our newsletters are to delight, surprise, inform, encourage, remind, share, build rapport, nice, give value, give them a flavour review, help you find your voice in the writing of it. Nobody expects perfection at the beginning or even in the end. Nobody wants perfection. Have a go. I think it's got to be regular. It doesn't have to be every Friday, but it can be once a fortnight. Otherwise, who the hell are you a month later, quite frankly?
Absolutely. And I do all my relationship building in my autoresponders. So then I feel like I can just send out links. I know you hate link emails, but I like them. I get one from Justin Brooke that just tells me the best of the week. And Stelly, we haven't mentioned Stelly this week. Let's mention.
Oh no, not Stelly again. No, anybody but Stelly.
No, Stelly's business partner, Stelly FT's business partner, Hyton Shah, does a nice weekly roundup of what he feels startup founders should be reading on the web this week.
No, I don't hate link emails. What I hate is people sending me a newsletter just to remind me about their blog post. By all means, mention one, or possibly two. I often mention one, but don't just send me a link to your blog posts. Give me something else that I can't get, because I can read your blog post on the front end, is my point. Yeah, I've given you my email address. Treat me especially. Give me a little nugget.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I always include something from other people's websites.
Yes.
Or something.
Nugget.
Exactly.
Give me a nugget. Nuggets.
Nuggets we want.
That's it. I think we've done that. I think we'll come back to it again because my clients keep asking me. I mean, I've done my opt-in. Nobody's opting in. Well, big deal. Come on, go to bed.
Well, the first question to ask is, are you actually getting any traffic? Because nobody will opt in if nobody's visiting, are they?
And what are you doing that to achieve? What are you doing to achieve that?
Exactly. That's what I managed not to go all statistical on you. Did you notice?
Yes, you did very well.
Thank you.
Tell me, what is your word of the week?
Well, no. Oh, yes, I will.
No, yes. No, yes, like that man on The Vicar of Diddley.
Yes. Simple is my word of the week, because this whole Infusionsoft Stripe Fuse PayPal conundrum, Nanocast conundrum, is doing my head in. And what I want is just something simple that will work. It shouldn't be this difficult in this day and age to... so many bits of software are out there that make my life perfect, like Xero and Receipt Bank and Slack. It should be simple. It should make, even close.io, that it helps me keep track of my prospects and where I'm at with my conversation with them, that they all make my life simpler. But this blooming conundrum I've got with the payment gateway is making my life more complicated, and it shouldn't be like that. Simple is the word.
Dominated 3 sections of this week's podcast, Nicola.
I know, I'm sorry.
I can't believe there isn't a solution to this, and I'd be paying somebody to find it, because frankly, it's bringing you down.
It is bringing me down, you're right. It's made me feel a bit cross this week, and I don't like feeling cross. I'm a cheery soul most of the time.
No, I had the potential to be cross twice over this morning, but I chose to rise above it. Now, let me tell you my word, which is... I mentioned it last week, and coincidentally it's my word of the week, lucrative. And it's a word I like and use often, and it's a bit old-fashioned, but Sandy Forster, who I like very much, of Wildly Wealthy Fast, sent out a nice little meme yesterday on Facebook, and it said, I attract only lucrative, enjoyable and beneficial circumstances. I so do, but I just love that word lucrative. It means there's money in it for me.
Yeah, profit too, not just money.
Yeah.
Just turn profit.
Money. Right, project updates. You go first.
I put my prices up. On my Start Strong package, I've decided it's the only way to qualify clients a bit more toughly, and I've gone for a 3 months commitment up front. Anyone who signs up now, I'm not interested if you just think you can try it for 30 days and get sales from cold traffic in 30 days. I'm not interested. I want you to have a 3-month commitment. I want you to be able to afford me easily and to know that I'm an absolute bargain, like this chap in Australia does. He said, he said, I took a look at what you were charging and I thought, my God, that's brilliant. And he said I was in, like Flynn. So I'm fed up I'm just fed up with people thinking I can wave a magic wand and send them sales in 30 days.
And do you know what? Being fed up is exactly the time when people put their prices up.
So just a little bit to make it just as a qualifying measure, really.
I must say, I do like the name Start Strong. That's very sexy.
Yes, I've got Start Strong, Intermediate and Advanced.
Oh, I like Start Strong.
Yeah, it's good though, isn't it? It's better than Bronze.
Yes, it's very good. Well, we love a little bit of alliteration.
Yeah, but no, projects, Clicks and Leads, just what a bloody dream. Well, some weeks it's a dream, some weeks it's not, but mostly it is a dream. When I compare it to everything else I've ever done, apart from the money gym, which was a dream in the early days, for the first 6 years, in fact, this is a dream. It's a dream business, so it's all good. What about you then?
Well, this week I'm telling you about my 100% passive sports trading. 6 weeks in, $503 up on $1,350. That's a 37% return on investment, 6 and 7% a week. I'm absolutely delighted. End of.
I have the video open and I've watched the first 10 minutes, so I must finish that video.
I watched that video twice, actually, before I went into it. And they let you into a Facebook group where you can see what everybody else is achieving. And some of them are months ahead of me. And you can go to a live webinar every Thursday night at 8 o'clock and ask your most difficult and embarrassing questions of them, and they deal with all of them.
Okay. I'll finish the video today then.
Marvellous.
Good. Who or what's impressed?
Oh, I'm going to tell you about my client Sally, who's an astrologer. Sally has been a client off and on for about 3 years. She started in something that Marion and I ran in February a long time ago called The Better Blogging something or other. And we worked with 20-something people for a month about blogging every day. And Sally was one of those. She is an astrologer and she's had a career in media astrology, which means she's been a columnist in the TV Times and other magazines like that, ladies' magazines and stuff like that. So she's a proper astrologer. But there's so much free about astrology on the web. We assumed, Sally and I, it might be difficult to monetize that because there are a lot of people seeking stuff for free. However, Sally has monetized. She gave away her monthly stars, but she's monetized her weekly stars. She has a big list which grows by a large number every month because people like her stars. And she's very good at writing about things like who'll win Wimbledon and who'll win Strictly Come Dancing and the things that actually people are interested in. And she puts her money where her mouth is and says, if I were a betting woman, and I am, I'd be putting my money on, Murray or Djokovic or whoever it is. And she, in addition to monetizing her weekly stars, which is growing slowly but surely along the automated, what do we call it, the automatic customer method, where it's a recurring billing. You can pay £39 a year or £3.99. She also does 2 other initiatives, which is in August every year, I say every year, this is the 2nd year, she gets you to pre-order and pay in advance for your personalised 2016 reading. So she takes the money at the end of August and delivers it in September or October, something like that. So there's a lovely cash flow advantage there. And then she also starts to offer the one that she does for everybody. There's a sort of much more affordable, generic 2016, all of them in one ebook type of thing. It takes her quite a long time to write. She's a very good writer and very disciplined with her writing. So if she says, I've put the time in my diary to write this then, she'll write it then. And I'm just impressed by that whole monetization strategy across sort of 3 levels. 1, the one-to-one report. 2, the one that works for everybody. 3, the weekly stars. And she and I have worked together on that over a couple of years, on and off, and it's a very nice thing. And there's a lovely rhythm where her clients know what she's going to offer when every year, and they're, horoscope enthusiasts are prepared to stump up their money in advance. There's a limited number of them, so The ones where she does it for you individually, I think she can do about 35. There's not a limited number of the ones where she can do it for everybody all in a book. And last year she sold 1,000 of those.
Good grief.
I know.
That's amazing.
Isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I love the fact that it's something she's passionate about. It's something she's learned. It's something she's good at, obviously. And yes, how she's monetized it across several levels. I find that amazing. And actually hearing about her has given me an idea for a client challenge of the week.
Marvellous.
The future. I'll tell you afterwards.
Okay.
Good. Well, good for Sally. Well done. And I love the fact that she's going to predict who's going to win things like Strictly, because now we are better women ourselves.
I know, we are, yes. And so she's in our group. Tell me who's impressed you.
I came across, what's impressed me is a website called onewomanshop.com. Do you know it?
Oh, no, but I love anything to do with one woman.
I know, you love that sort of stuff. It's a lovely looking site. And they've just released a great blog post called 100 Best Sites for Entrepreneurs. And it's a onewomanshop.com/100 number 100 best etc. Sites for entrepreneurs. And the thing that's impressed me about this is the fact that it's such a genius marketing idea. I've got my top 10 entrepreneurs traps, which gets regular traffic. I've got my top 10 entrepreneurs for other entrepreneurs. List web blog posts, especially when you're doing a roundup of best, like resources, a resource blog post like this. You don't think that they're not going to be sending an email to each one of the people who are listed on that list saying, congratulations, you've made it into our top 100 best sites for entrepreneurs list, and that those people won't be sharing on social media. It's a genius marketing idea. It adds lots of value as long as it's well researched, and you can actually pay someone on Elance to do the research for you. But it's a great, what they call a pillar blog post, which will bring you traffic ongoing forever. And Google absolutely loves these kind of blog posts because they've got lots of outgoing links, and Google regards that as a value add for people. So do think about if you could do the top 10, the top 25, the top 50, the top 100 roundup resource blog posts for your market. But onewomanshop.com, lovely website. Lovely concept. Some of the best sites for entrepreneurs are men, but not too many of them. And they're female-friendly men at that. So that's what's impressed me this week.
That's a nice one. Well done.
Okay, that's us done again for another week. And off on holiday you go for the rest of it.
Thank you very much. See you soon.
Bye.
Bye.
You've been listening to Nicola Cairncross and Judith Morgan. The podcast is called Own It, Your Business and Your Life. Do come and visit us at ownitthepodcast.com. We'd love to hear your feedback. You can find out more about Judith and visit her on her website at judithmorgan.com, and you can find Nicola at nicolacairncross.com.